Hello, I'm back. I'm making a part 2 because I needed to talk this morning, and so I wanted to just, I guess, talk to myself, talk to all of you, just to vent this out of my system, reflections on the world today, on the biolabs in Ukraine, and just talk, right? And I was kind of mentioning in that first video is more like practical day-to-day conversation about things that I've seen over the years, and the subliminal messaging and the brainwashing, and it's profound. It's actually incredible. I mean, you could say terrible things are terrible, but sometimes terrible things can be incredible as to how in the world did they orchestrate that? How in the world did they do it? And how is it working? What are we learning from this? Those who are the participants in the global study of basically deluding the spirit of the human race, and the ones that are above the sound waves of that influence, what they're watching and taking note of. I mean, this is something we're sharing with each other. We're participating in this experience together. It's a profound thing. It's a bigger than you could ever imagine thing. Look over here, don't look over there. You know, just get absorbed and fall asleep inside yourself and let yourself just be carried away by say one thing and do another. This is the Christian way, or this is the religious way, but behind the scenes I'm abusing little kids or whatever. Like, you guys know that this world has many faces, the face in the forefront and the face that is behind the scenes. And nobody wants to know what we are really doing behind the scenes, right? While those of us are also trying to do all the right things, could be pointed out as somebody who is doing everything wrong. It's a really weird world that we're living in, and it's sort of losing its sanity. And I think from every angle of it, of itself. Whether you are part of the study or whether you are the scientist at the top doing the observing, we're all losing ourselves to something here. The Great Reset will be defined by the heart or the mind, but let's let it be defined by the spirit of who and what we truly are as a human race. We'll create a good world for everybody to live in. I want to talk about not so much what we would define as the practical side of every day, but what goes on the energy side of all of this. We're influenced by this energy side. There's a whole ecosystem going on the other side of the veil, and I run into it all the time, and it's feeding off of us. And there's nobody, it's like I tell people, you don't need energy protection, because that is actually, the word protection in and of itself says that you are up against something that is threatening your life. You are not up against anything in the energy world that is actually threatening your life. As long as you are self-aware and aligned with your heart and following your heart, then nothing can derail you. If it derails you, then you are meant to be derailed and to learn from that experience. So don't shield yourself from life and learning. Don't protect yourself from living. Don't protect yourself from the exchanges that are going to strengthen your character. This ecosystem is like being afraid of tadpoles, being afraid of leeches. People will say there are way worse things than that. Energy parasites of more of a sentient kind. They're only making me stronger. They're only teaching me how to overcome my own insecurities. If you choose to see them, if you choose to face them without fear, you are already honoring your true self. A lot of people need to understand before they feel safe, right? So I need to understand what I'm getting myself into before I get myself into it. Did the baby that grows up to learn how to roll and then how to walk and then how to run say, I better get a little bit of feedback here before I start trying to move my body, because I might get hurt and I don't even understand what that means? Kids just intuitively follow the spirit that is calling them without resistance or question. And it's a goodness. It's a very good and beautiful thing to watch happen. What is it that as we get older, we become more and more resistant of trying new things, of getting our feet wet first before we know what we are getting into, diving head first into something and then figuring it out as we go? It's like, how well can you prepare for something in life? It's like you can control every single facet of what you need in order to make it a safe experience. What is that saying in and of itself, though? You could say, well, that's just being smart. I've been trained in my life that it's like no matter how smart, no matter how perceptive, there's always going to be something I didn't predict. And it's almost like my higher self makes sure that my life is extremely unpredictable to prove something to me. That the universe decides, the universe is guiding this thing. I have learning that is inconceivable. My inconceivable learning, the only way to access inconceivable learning is to stop trying to be in control of your next step. You have to completely trust and let yourself give in to whatever comes next. And that is how you develop in a place of inconceivable learning. That is how you become somebody that you had never seen yourself become, that because it would have been inconceivable. So it's almost like, here's an idea. We as parents control the upbringing of our children to ensure that they grow up in this world to have some access to power and intelligence and a good job and take care of themselves in this type of world, right? But that's not giving the spirit of that came into that body the freedom to discover what guides their true nature. What is guiding them in this life? What is it that they're insatiably hungry for? Not what you think is best for them, but what is actually best for their soul. But how, as parents, do you ensure your kids grow up to be empowered in this life? We think of empowered as having money and a good job. We don't think of empowered as an inconceivable being. I'm going to let my child to grow up to be their inconceivable self. How do we guide children to grow up to be inconceivable to our current day society, to become people we never even dreamed they would ever be, that far surpass our perception of what is real and what exists and what is right or wrong? We ourselves have to give into inconceivable truth. If we, just like we have to allow our kids to grow up to discover who they are. What I'm trying to talk about here, it's about the ecosystems in the energy world. It's about what's guiding us, our hearts. It's about why you can give in to being fearless and know that it's okay to be afraid when you are facing something you don't understand, because that's the normal process of learning and growing. And to find a sense of eruption of joy and freedom and strength and courage and discovering what you're really made of, The more protection, the further away from yourself you will become, the further away from the light of your own soul, because the protection in and of itself says that you are afraid of something you can't understand, therefore you would need this. Don't ever be afraid of what you can't understand. Welcome it to teach you so that you can learn from it. I can't see through your eyes. You are part of that cog in the wheel that I need your perception. I need you to be your full-blooded spirit self, not your protected self that is avoiding being who you are, needing more protection, needing more safety and security as we're withering away and emotionally dying inside and saying we need more and more and more of something that is not what we need at all. You're important. I can't see through your eyes. I can't access a viewpoint that I need to see, and I need your eyes to see it, right? We all need each other's eyes to see. We all need each other to be the strongest us that we can be. Okay, let me see what else I need to say about, because I really wanted to talk about this. A lot of people really give so much power to these archons and so much power to these reptilians. It's really boring. Why would you decide to give power to archons and reptilians? Where would that come from? It's a really dumb idea. Because if you're afraid of archons and reptilians because they're bigger and stronger and more powerful than you, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know who you are. And if you need protection from something you fabricated, a fabricated lie that you fed yourself, then now you're just creating another illusion. And you're creating those illusions. Who told you to be afraid? It wasn't me. I didn't tell you to be afraid of archons and reptilians. And anybody who says I should be afraid, I want you to go look in the mirror. I want you to go look in the mirror and go deal with that yourself, and don't tell me what to do. Don't tell other people what to do. You're the one that is afraid, not me. So if we should be afraid of archons and reptilians, something that we don't even know how to access or see, how is that going to empower humanity? How is that going to empower our children? Let's be afraid of something that we don't even know where it is, what it is exactly, but let's be afraid of it. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's like being afraid of the boogeyman, being afraid of Freddy Krueger. This stuff has to stop. Even in Hollywood movies, we need to be afraid of demons and evil spirits and haunted houses. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It teaches people to be afraid. These haunted houses are crying for help. They're crying for someone to hold them and to hug them and to set their spirit free so the house can breathe and thrive again. But we would rather just dance around this degraded, dilapidated energy and enjoy being terrified by something we can't understand, instead of waking up and seeing that what's haunting this house is a soul that's trapped in purgatory, that's crying for somebody to help them. Do you want that to be your soul? You know what gives these archons and reptilians power is the people that say we should be afraid of them. A real reptilian, if you were to face it in real life, probably make you pee your pants. But if you were to continue to stand there and look it in the eye and just stand there and say, you know what, you are who you are and I am who I am, and I'm not going to be afraid of you. That reptilian would actually choose to respect you. It's their innate nature. They respect those who don't cower before them, but they have no respect for those who do. Now in the energy world, some of these reptilians actually, they want human beings to wake up. They want us to find our hearts They want us to not be afraid of them. They want us to shine our lights bright and share that love and light with their own hearts. That way we can all move on. The Archons are only teaching us how to conquer these fears, conquer our ego. Because once we do, we don't need their help anymore. And sometimes demons are there terrifying us because their energy of terror is actually saying, help me. Help me. But we just run away and put up our protective shields and call in Jesus to take this demon away, this terrible, awful demon. That could be actually a soulmate that died in a war in a terrible way and became broken, and vengeance saturated into the soul, and it went on to terrorize the world until somebody would forgive it, or forgive those who harmed it, and somebody would hold it and bring it back to the light. And it's coming to you and asking you for help, a soulmate in some future lifetime. But instead you just judge it. That's what's really going on the energy side of all of this. We are living in a cesspool of souls that want to be set free. But we are just choosing some neutral or numb rhetoric, some sensation, as though it's not as bad as it really is, or that doesn't exist. All souls just go to heaven, right? Because that's what we were told. But never really finding the answer inside yourself, because you yourself are an extraordinary soul. So what are we going to do? Because this is to help you to see that there's nothing to be afraid of between the energy side of things and the human world, and that you have every right to investigate it, every right to talk to it, every right to stand right in front of it without any protection, because your guides and your angels and your higher self and all the beings of light that are surrounding you and your own bright, extraordinary soul is all you need. You don't need to use your human mind to create something that is a complete and utter illusion that's only pushing you further and further into a dark closet of your own doing, and then blaming something that you don't understand. How is it that I can sit here and tell you this stuff? It's because I've been there, done that. I've looked at all of this. I've felt all of this. I've dealt with all of this in the most terrifying way, and then I figured it out. And once I figured it out, it couldn't derail me ever again, because I didn't understand it at one time. And once you understand it, you'll never forget it. It's like learning to ride a bike, they say. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you'll never forget it. But part of you, part of us healing this energy thing is that this ecosystem is that you will have to go through a period of your own individual learning, okay? Your own individual learning. You will have to be broken down and reborn, because your ego is going to have to work through that transformation process, and you're going to have your own unique experience about it. Because when you go from being human in a human world, and then you expand to being human in spirit, and you're living in between astral realms in the human world, and you're completely and utterly free to go wherever you want, there's a little bit of a breakdown process that takes place between your ego and it's like a growth thing. It's like you have to break something of your own mind. I feel like I've said everything I need to say about that for now. I feel like I've said everything I need to say. Thank you guys for watching. Ask your heart, what are you afraid of? Ask your heart, why are you afraid of it? Ask your heart how to face it. it's like my grandpa would say, and this is my grandpa who passed away recently reminded me of the importance of when it's a hot summer's day and you're standing in front of a pool and you're the type that just slowly but surely just takes the ladder, adjusts to the cold water, needs about 5 minutes before you get your head under the water. My grandpa would say, because he did say this just a few days ago, you gotta jump in. You have to just jump into the cold water, acclimate to it right then and there, and don't waste any time. Let the cold water show you the way. Within a single split second, you're having a blast. That if you slowly trudge your way in and slowly adapt and adjust, that's not the way to do this. You have to be like the baby, learning to run, going from rolling to crawling to walking to running. It doesn't hold itself back. Don't let your mind give you all of these ideas when your heart already knows the way. Your spirit's already guiding you like it did when you were a baby. Jump in, set yourself free. You can handle anything that comes your way because your higher self, your spirit guides, your angels, they got you. And there's nothing that you're going to face that you can't face. And some of this will be hard and challenging and scary because it's new. It's this inconceivable new beginning for your own self-discovery and the puzzle piece that you are, the gift to the world that you are, the perspective that you have that none of us else can have but you. And you're healing and you're growing and you're becoming complete and whole between human and spirit and earth and present and past and future and parasitic reptilians and leeches and archons. And we're all a part of this big ecosystem. Human world ecosystem, energy world ecosystem. There's nothing to hide from. Shine as bright as you ever possibly could and be proud of who you are and be who you are. All right. Have a great day, everybody.